People get a code and they're like, oh, need a transmission.
And they scan it on the service drive and it's got a 17FO. Man, they're already writing an estimate for a transmission replacement before they've done anything.
Down at Nissan, they're not giving these things away. I mean, I'm hearing quotes out of there of $6,000 and $8,000 on the regular.
Yeah.
And so I would want to do a little more due diligence before I spend $8,000. Before you replace your CVT transmission in your Nissan, you need to watch this. I'm Dave Riccio with the Bumper to Bumper podcast here along with John Riggle. And between the two of us, we fix thousands of transmissions every year.
Yeah.
We live, eat, breathe transmissions. We fix other things too. We work on the whole car. There's a lot of information about the rest of the car, but I feel like less information about the transmission. So
Yeah.
I think people benefit more from that. But yeah, if you've got a Nissan CVT and you're facing a replacement, and this is where code diagnostic is a problem. People get a code and they're like, need a transmission.
Yeah.
And so what is the code, John, that is the supposed kiss of death in the Nissan CVT that everyone's throwing them away for?
P17FO.
P17FO.
Yeah, that's the one. They're just pulling the trigger, man. That thing rolls up on the service drive and they scan it on the service drive and it's got a 17FO. Man, they're already writing an estimate for a transmission replacement before they've done anything. And that's a little tough.
Diagnostic is so key, and we've got a Nissan Murano in the shop right now, and she came in with the P17FO, and you went to checking it, and guess what? Transmission fluid was low.
Yeah.
But it wasn't leaking on the ground. So
Yeah.
you're like, hey, and they're not seeing a leak on the ground, but where's the leak? The leak was into the transfer case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The transmission was leaking over into the transfer case. So the fluid was low, so that code set, I believe, is a result of being low on fluid.
Yep.
That transmission actually worked great. I drove it with the lady when she dropped it off. Worked fantastic. You couldn't find anything wrong with it. All the scanner data was right where it should be.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of things to flog them and make sure they're good when you're diagnosing these things. So, but that code that was in there would indicate if you're on that service drive, need a transmission.
Yeah.
Well, down at Nissan, they're not giving these things away. I mean, I'm hearing quotes out of there of $6,000 and $8,000 on the regular.
Yeah.
And so I would want to do a little more due diligence before I spend $8,000, especially in this scenario. Now, that's a common code, and once we address this lady's transfer case, and she gave us authorization on Friday, we're going to fix the leak where the transmission's leaking in the transfer case. We're going to go ahead and service the transmission, get all new fluid in there at the right level, and then we got to program it because you can't make that code go away unless you program it because they've got a progression of software in that transmission, and maybe you can answer more to that.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit because we have a series of 3 codes for the Nissan CVTs, P17FO, P17F1, P17F4, and they're all called Judder codes, okay? And each one of them has a different specific routine that you use to go through and diagnose it because those 3 codes actually mean kind of different things. The P17FO is a judder that they detect by watching input ratios and output ratios or speeds so they can determine the transmission ratios. And we want to see if the ratios match what we're commanding. And we start to see repetitive deviations in that, which means that we may have a belt slipping on the pulleys. We may have kind of a judder sensation out of it, a shudder when you go to accelerate or something like that. P17F1 is a similar code, but that one relates more to valve body type problems.
Like a hydraulic leak or a solenoid or something.
Yeah, and P17F4 is used to pick out judder that is caused by torque converter clutch slip. Okay, so we have engine speed and we have an input speed sensor. We can really monitor the performance of the torque converter clutch just by using those 2 inputs. So if we monitor those over a period of time, that's what they're doing to see if there's some kind of degradation or something going on there. So the trick with those codes is those codes were not originally in a lot of these cars, okay? If you go back into 2010, 12, they started reflashing these things, and that was one of the first service campaigns on these. If they came in with a judder complaint, they had you check all the basic stuff, fluid level and coolant quality and stuff. There was a lot of things that they wanted you to check. But if that stuff was all good, they wanted you to reflash this thing. And that's when they added these codes in. So these codes weren't there initially. And you mentioned with the P17FO, if you take your scan tool and you go to clear that code won't clear. There is a way to clear them on some of the later ones. We can reinitialize the TCM, and that code will go away when we do the reinitialization. But by the same token, you've got to watch software numbers on these, because a lot of these have had software updates that were designed to modify the way they modulated the converter clutch. And as a matter of fact, as a warranty requirement, if we buy one of these units from Nissan, if we've got one that's crashed so hard we've got to replace it, then we have to prove, to make sure that we have the warranty, we have to prove that we flash that thing with the latest update software when that job is done. Otherwise, they'll deny the warranty on it.
And I want to be clear, because it could be a little bit confusing. Flash and software, you're using those interchangeably.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
When we flash it, we're updating the software.
Flashing or programming, the same thing. We're going to go in and reprogram it. Now, initialization is a different process. Some people would refer to it as coding or something like that. But that's just a different process where we take all the information out of the TCM, put it into the computer, and we rewrite it back into the TCM. When we rewrite it back into the TCM, it just clears that code out of there.
Now, the reason I bring this up, because when there's a pattern failure on a vehicle, and on the CVTs, they do have a high rate of failure. And so people are quick to just, let's change that transmission out. If they've got a code or a little complaint, they just sell the people another one. So that's why I say you got to watch this before you just go buying a CVT transmission. Make sure you're working with somebody that's taking the steps and doing the due diligence. And there's cheater sites in our business where people throw a code in and it says, replace transmission.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean anyone took the necessary steps to do everything. And I think of the brake light bulb issue.
Oh, yeah.
They come in literally on a tow truck, and we check them out, and they've already called and tried to ask us for a price over the phone for the CVT transmission, and we're like, no, we got to check it out. And they're like, no, just tell me how much.
Yeah, no, the one Dave's talking about is the Nissan Versas and stuff that come up with a range sensor code. So the range sensor tells the computer what position the shift lever is in, or the shift lever on the transmission, so we know whether it's in park, reverse, neutral, drive, whatever. But we lose the ground connections for the backup light bulbs, and often that will backfeed into the computer, so it thinks it's in reverse and neutral at the same time, or whatever the combination is. It gets a phony combination. And you can replace the transmission until you're blue in the face. You won't fix that car until you fix the bad grounds back at the tail light assemblies. So that's one that can really send you down, the wrong path there. So you got to really be careful with that. But again, it's down to, fluid level is critical on the CVTs. Super. You can be off by 1.5 quarts, and these things will do weird things. I mean, we run high pressures in that secondary side trying to move those pulleys back and forth. So this thing requires a good volume and good pressure.
And it can't be overfull either.
It can't be overfull. If they're overfull, you've got this big chain in there just whipping that fluid around, and they'll foam the fluid up. So it's real critical. But that's something that gets missed a lot on these, because a lot of these, they actually have a dipstick tube. But when you pull the cap off it, there's no dipstick in it, right? So the way these were originally checked was they have a standpipe in the pan with a drain plug, but it's checked cold. It's like 80 to 113 degrees of fluid temperature. Well, here we start out at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're 90 degrees. So I got about 15 seconds to start this thing and check the fluid to make sure the fluid level's right. So that's the way they used to do it. Then they came up with a service tool for it, and it's a $265 dipstick with a chart, and they tell you between 170 and 180 degrees of trans temp, you can use this special dipstick, and you can put this dipstick in, and you can check the fluid level while the transmission's warm. Very few places have that tool, and you can't guess on these. These have to be spot on the money for fluid level. And so we see a lot of these roll in that don't need transmissions, but have these Judder codes. So
Well, it's
gotta watch.
it's no secret that CVTs and the Nissans do have a high rate of failure, and that longevity is not like what people would want it to be.
Yeah.
So, but I do on occasion see an oddball where this thing came in with 225,000 miles. It's still got the original transmission in
We've
it,
seen a couple of them, yeah.
or whatever. And I think we had one that almost went to 300.
Yeah.
But that guy was he was a traveling sales guy. No, he did home health, so he was on the freeway all day
Yeah, yeah.
long around town. But he got a bunch of miles on it.
Yeah.
But you have a CVT transmission. If you got yourself a Nissan or any of these CVT transmissions, I think that you should be servicing these things every 30,000 miles and changing the filter. I'm not okay with people just pulling out that drain plug and draining out 3 quarts and adding 3 quarts back in. I mean, you can do that if you want to do something in between the services, but I don't know. I want to change the filters because these things run metal to metal. And you corrected me when we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
There should be a layer of oil between the metal chain
And the pulleys.
The pulleys
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
So it's floating. It's not exactly metal to metal.
Yeah.
But because of the contact, you need that fluid to be good. And I don't think I could stress that enough on the CVTs. But if you're going to service it, make sure it's serviced right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And so
And they generate a ton of heat.
ton of heat.
Heat is hard on fluids, right? So these things just generate a ton of heat. And I don't know if the failure rates across the country are the same as what we see here, but with our heat here and the people, running up the Flagstaff and back down and stuff with those things, they run them 85, 90 miles an hour uphill with the throttle pinned to the floor.
Right.
Those things generate a ton of heat, and the cooling systems on them are pretty minimal.
There were some issues with the Rogue early on where Nissan actually created a kit to add a cooler to it because those things were running hot. They were having so many issues.
They did it to Altima too. There was that kit with the nice factory cooler and stuff that they added to it, which expensive, but
Yeah.
it worked.
So if you're facing a Nissan CVT transmission replacement, do your due diligence, do a little research, make sure you're working with a shop that knows how to do these things, because if they don't, you might buy one in air. And I've seen people replace them at like 70,000 when I'm like, I don't know that it needed that,
Yeah.
And I have seen them come bad at 70,000 miles, and I say I haven't.
Yeah.
But people really want to make sure they're working with the right shop, they're doing their due diligence.
And a competent shop can diagnose these codes. You can take the car out and you can warm it up, and you can watch the desired and actual pulley gear ratios, desired and actual pressures. And if we have the most common failure that we see on these is the in between the pulleys and sheaves, they wear, and the seals in between those pulleys and sheaves start to leak, and that's just a wear item, because those pulleys and sheaves are constantly moving
back and forth,
in and out, and we wind up with wear in that place. We wind up with a pressure drop. But a competent technician watching the data can kind of pick that out. You can pick that out and go, yeah, okay, this P17FO is legitimate. I've already checked fluid. I've checked cooling system and stuff. I know that the foundation is there. This thing should work properly. But it doesn't. Now we know this is an internal problem. Before you go, but you got to check that stuff first, and that's what people overlook.
And we'll fix these things. We noticed that the one code, the other code related more to like a valve body issue or internal hydraulic leak. And we'll treat a transmission with 60,000 miles on it, CVT, different than we one with 140,000 miles.
Right.
Valve bodies may not be cheap, and there's stuff to it. So if we're at 140,000 miles and we got a questionable valve body, we don't actually know it's the valve body. It could be hydraulic leak somewhere else in the unit.
Yeah.
So we're less likely to go in and just repair the valve body. But we do valve body repairs on them. And the other one is torque converters.
Yeah.
And the torque converter comes up, and if we've got a clean unit, we can take the pan off, take the valve body off. We stick a bore scope up in the unit, and we look at the wear on the pulleys and on the chain. And if it looks good, we'll pull it out, put a torque converter in it, send it down the road.
Yeah.
So they can be fixed. They don't always have to be thrown away. I feel like people think, oh, you can't fix them. No, they can definitely be fixed. We'll pull them out. Sometimes they'll have a bad axle bearing. We'll fix that.
Yeah.
So some different repairs that can be done to them. But if you've got a CVT in your Nissan and you've got a story you want to share with us, go ahead and leave something in the comments. We always are looking for information for the show based off of what people's experience are. We want to educate. I feel like if you're in the know, it eliminates the anxiety because you're like, wow, here I am facing a $6,000 repair. Do I really need it?
Yep.
And so we're giving you some confidence so you can feel good about the money you're spending on it. And if there's anything else, suggest topics. We're more than happy to talk about. There's not much that we can't cover when it comes to the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on the Bumper to Bumper podcast.